I'm the man, and I rule over you, a phrase echoing the ancient script of power, first inked in Eden. After the fall, God told Eve in Genesis 3:16, "Your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you." From that moment, many men use this line as divine endorsement, wielding it like a scepter to command homes, kingdoms, and hearts. Across ages, it became more than a phrase. It was a badge of God-given dominion, sometimes misused, sometimes misunderstood, but always carrying the weight of sacred authority and human ambition.
Once upon a time, in the city of Marriageville, two men wanted a wife, but needed to know how to have her purpose for them into their life. The man was told by a stranger that if they travel to the desert, God will meet them there and give them the answer. Both men went on their way to the desert for one day. The men noticed pages floating towards them in the river. One grabbed one page that had only one verse from the Bible that reads, "Woman, I will multiply your sorrows in birth. You will endure pain. You will love your husband, and he will rule over you." The man jumps in jubilation. He felt God gave him the answer he was seeking. The man yelled,
"Thank you, God. I will make my wife feel sorrows. She will bear my children in pain, and I will rule over her."
The other man grabbed the other page that reads, "It is not good for man to be alone. I will give man an help meek." The man jumps in jubilation. He felt God had answered him about what is the purpose of a wife. He yelled,
"Yes, God doesn't want me alone, and he will give me a wife to assist me. Thank you, God."
The first man decided this was good news to share among the men in town seeking a wife. He started the men's club. The men discussed and gave opinions about the page on how a woman should be a wife. Each man was given privileges from the town if they voted to initiate this part of the Bible as a man's law to the wife in the city of Marriageville. In the law, it stated the do's and the don't, which include repercussion from the husbands to the wife if she didn't follow the husband's command. The second man did nothing but smile and thank God for giving him the purpose of his wife. He was excited to know God will give him a wife to prevent him from being lonely. 10 years later, at the end of every men's club meeting, the men in attendance would tell how they make the woman in their life be a wife. They would say,
"I'm the man, and because I'm the man and I rule over you, I command you to do what I say." And her response to me, she must say,
"Husband, because God said, 'You rule over me, I will do what you command of me.'"
The other man that found the page and said,
"This will become law to me, towards my wife. Because God gave her to me to assist me, whatever she does for me, I will smile and say thank you, God."
Death visit both men the same night and said, "On this day you will die." They both was given the same illness. They were instructed to go to the doctor. The doctor that they both attended called their illness the desert curse because they got it from the desert. The doctor gave each man the instruction to heal. In the home with the first man, he took the instructions from the doctor how to help him heal. He commanded his wife,
"Wife, you must help me heal myself from this illness. You must only do what I command from these prescriptions from the doctor. You do nothing unless I ask you."
The other man read the prescription to heal his body from the illness and whispered to himself,
"She does these things already. I will pray to God to allow me to live. I don't want to leave my wife."
He crumbled the prescription to heal and threw it away. The wife never knew what to do to help him heal. Everyone in town knew the two men were dying. They whispered upon each other with gossip, fearing both had did something awful to send them this death curse. Both men became weakened by their illness. Both of their body deteriorated to the point where neither could speak. The men's club missed seeing their president and decided to make a visit. The moment they walked in his house, the stench of death filled the whole house. They were angry with his wife, who sat in a chair in the corner. One member yelled,
Why didn't you help this man?
I did everything he commanded.
Another member pulls out from his suit jacket his pocket man law book, while another member from the men club yelled at the woman,
So, because he was weak and couldn't speak, you did not help him.
Sir, I did everything he asked me to. I've been sitting here all these days, waiting for him to command me what to do.
The new president looked upon the wife, confused.
You didn't know he had died?
Sir, I thought he was tired of yelling his commands at me and decided to rest. His last command to me was sit in the corner until I command you to make my dinner. I sat in this corner waiting for him to command me what to do.
The member that was searching through his man's law book said to the president,
As I searched all the man's laws, this wife obeyed all the man laws, and shall be granted to remain with the founder's privileges to the city of Marriageville.
All the member glanced over to the president, the founder, and then over to the wife. Then they stared among each other, as though they are speaking a silent message among each other. A member walks over to the president's dead body, lying in the bed covering, his nose with his hand from smelling the stench. He would gag, while covering the founder and president of the men's club's body with a sheet. The new president asked the wife,
Did your husband speak on the other man that had the same illness?
Yes, the only thing that was mentioned, he lived with his wife across town.
The men's club arrived across town and saw a man working in his yard with his wife. They walked up to him and asked where the man dying of the desert curse. The man, strong within a healthy body, stood and said,
I am he, who once was to die from the desert curse illness.
One member noticed how the husband's finger would caress his wife's hand while he gently held her hand. The member watched and smiled, being mesmerized by the wife's response, affectionately hugging her husband. A member secretly nudged the member into his side to get his attention and whispers softly,
Stop, you are coveting another man's wife.
The moment I came from the doctor, my wife prayed to God to heal me from my illness. Every morning, she would awake me with her fattening soup, as she called it. She made sure I swallowed every drop. She would tell me daily how much she loved me, and please don't leave me alone to miss you. She would bathe me every night, regardless how bad I fussed to stay in bed. She would calm me down by singing gospel hymns to keep me encouraged, while she would gently wipe the sweat from the fever from around my face. But most of all, she used her strength to walk me around outdoors for fresh air, and then she would sit down, spread a blanket on the lawn with lunch and lemonade, to allow the sun to gently caress my soul. Her kisses among my lips kept me alive. At any moment of the day, God allowed me to open my eyes. She would be lying next to me, praying for God to heal me. Every day, I thank God for allowing her to come into my life.
The new president was confused.
What do you mean you smiled and thanked God for her? This woman here should be ruled by you.
No, that wasn't what the law of God said to do.
He went inside and brought out his page and spoke.
I wanted a wife, but I needed to know her purpose for me, and I was told to travel in the desert for one day alone, and God will answer.
The men read the pages, and they agreed it was the same paper written that both men had. All the men became quiet, and suddenly, they all excused themselves from the man and his wife. The men club continued to meet weekly, but became short of a member each week until no one showed at the meeting except the new president. The new president decided to go searching for his members. He showed up at one member's house and knocked at the door. The member answered with nervousness. He knew what could happen because he took the vow to follow the man's law. The president asked,
Why? You haven't showed for the weekly meetings?
The moment we entered the president room and seen how he died, because he could no longer open his mouth to command his wife, it bothered me. It scared me when the woman spoke with truth, that she waited for him to command her. I glanced at her appearance. I could see she was once a beautiful woman. However, her beauty was lost from his ruling commandments. The stench that surrounded her body due to her commitment to her husband, even from his death, prevented her from maintaining her own responsibility to herself by washing the stench that surrounded her away. Once we traveled to the other man across town and seen him stand in his strong, healthy strength from the same illness that should have killed him. In that moment, I asked God what to do regarding my own wife. I must admit I was guilty of coveting his wife of how much she loved her husband, and her willingness to allow God to use her to heal him. I knew I was wrong for putting my wife under the man's law. The moment I came home, I prayed to God to forgive me for not allowing her purpose for me, and allow me, as the man in her life, to stand before you when you come looking for me, to threaten me with how I should rule over her.
The president in anger told the man,
You know you are banned from the men's club, and all your privileges will cease.
The man agreed and immediately shut the door. The president went throughout the neighborhood, getting the same response from all the men's club members. He came to the last house in the neighborhood. The man opened his door, smoking a cigar, scratching his beard. The president knew he was new to the neighborhood and asked,
Do you have a wife?
The man smiled and said no. The man continued puffing on his cigar and said,
I moved in this neighborhood. I noticed all the men had wives. I asked God, should I seek a wife?
First examine your heart to discover for what reason you would seek a wife. And please do not go to the desert, because I'm not there. The devil tore pages from the Bible and spread the pages in the river. In hope for the fool, he needed to start the men's club. However, because of the woman, in which the man was asking the purpose of, she had prayed to me in her commitment to me that once she marry, she would never in her marriage allow a situation in the marriage, that she would want to control her husband. And because she wouldn't want the curse imposed by me, spoken in Genesis 3:16, from me to be enforced by the husband to rule over her. Because of her loyalty to me, in the midst of her own desire to love her husband, I heard her plea to her husband not to leave her alone. And because of his will to be thankful for her, I sent an angel to their home to oversee, guide, and assist her with the strength and knowledge to heal her husband, so that they both will continue to love each other. The husband is blessed with health from his desire to continue to thank me for the love of his wife. Because they both stay in the original order created for marriage before sin, they were blessed by my power to heal. 1 Corinthians 7:8 states, To the unmarried and widows I say that it is good for them to remain single as I am. However, Proverbs 18:22, He finds a wife, finds a good thing, and obtains favor from the Lord.
The man stood staring at the president and said,
Maybe if you would throw that one page of God's words away and read the whole Bible with the desire of wanting the truth from God, you would get a better understanding how to live your life. You will then know how to appreciate who God gives you to assist you in your life, than to be the fool the devil desires for you to be. Mixed Emotion is a collaboration of short stories solely created from imagination for entertainment purpose only. In the event these stories may reflect some incidents of reality of any person's life or situations of any institutions is not intended but coincidental. Enjoy the fiction stories of Mixed Emotions by VG.